Welcome back, you guys. Today is another beautiful day of deck profiles. Today we're gonna go with some spicy set 12 content. So we're gonna start off with the Ominagruzio. I don't know how to say the name correctly, but you know what it is, so let's get started. Alright, so you play, of course, it's generic ride line deck. So upon ride, nothing happens. If you go in second, you draw a card. Skill, the first one, the Ominagruzio, whatever it's called, I don't know. Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 card, choose up to one grade 3 or greater card with the Ominagruzio, whatever it's called, and add it to your hand. If you reveal it to your hand, shuffle the deck. If you did not, reveal it and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck, obviously. And then if you did not reveal a card, then you soul charge 2. The grade 2 skill is upon riding, you get to look for one trigger, put it from the deck and put it into the soul, and if you add a card into your soul, you draw a card. Pretty straightforward. Grade 3 skill, ooh, spicy. Upon riding, look at the top 5 cards, choose up to one Ominagruzio card name or the Mask of Hydrogum among them, and reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So it's kind of nice to, you know, just get the mask card or the mask version of itself or its copy. So it's kind of consistent. And then of course run some copies of Dragon Tree because you're gonna need it. Moving to the main deck, the grade 3. We run playset of the base Ominagruzio, and then a playset of the Mask Ominagruzio, and then 3 copies of Mask Hydrogum Order card. So let's talk about the grade 3 Ominagruzio mask version. So this card can only be written from a grade 3 with Ominagruzio's card name. Pretty straightforward. Act skill, remove a card with Ominagruzio and its different name from this unit from hand, soul, or drop. Choose up to one trigger unit from the drop zone, bind it, and this unit gains all of your opponent's cards with the same trigger icon as any card in the bind zone, gets minus 5,000 shield. And your opponent cannot increase the attack with those trigger effects. So pretty much if they damage trigger check a heal trigger and you have a heal trigger in the bind zone, they don't get that plus 10k. This also states, pretty much means, if you have an over trigger in your bind zone, even if they get an over trigger, they don't get that 100 million. So it's pretty cool. Second skill, at the end of the battle, this unit attack, counterblast 1, put 2 back row rear guards into your soul. You can resend this unit and it gains minus 1 drive check until end of the turn. So it's a resending. So essentially, this is a resending unit. So pretty good. And believe it or not, this deck is very consistent. So watch out. Now on to the grade 2s in the deck. We run playset of Misery Winged Dragon, 3 copies of Camda, and 3 copies of Laminia. Laminia is there just so that I have, you know, a great time recycling the deck and also drawing out of it. And also when you persona ride, you get to counterblast, choose a card from your hand, from your soul, and call it to the rear guard. If you call the card, you may soul charge 1. So it's kind of nice. Canda's just there so you can get the Mask Hydrogum guaranteed. Also Dragon Tree marker so you get some power creep going on. Misery Winged Dragon skill is just so that if you, based on how many cards you have in the bind zone and the trigger, you gain 5,000 for each one. And the second skill is if you have 2 cards in the bind zone, that are triggers, you get to Soul Blast 2, I believe. Yeah, Soul Blast 2, and you draw a card. Also, the triggers have to be different from each other. Now on to the grade 1s. We run playset of the Ruin Collector, 2 copies of, I don't know what to call it, the Hello Kitty World, 3 generic PGs of the Dark State, and 1 Elementary Sector 2. So Amethyst, essentially his is the counter charger or gain 15k shield. So as long as you return 2 cards of the right line deck face up, you get to do one of the following. Either counter charge if you place it on rear guard, and if you put this on the Guardian Circle, it gains 15k shield. Yeah. Alright, Ruin Collector. Ooh, boy, where do I begin with this card? This card is so good. When you place it on the rear guard, you get to soul charge 1. Followed by when this card will be put into the soul for the cost of an ability, and as long as your vanguard is the Ominagruzio, this is regarded as putting 2 cards into the soul. So how this chains off the Mask grade 3 is that after it attacks, you get to counterblast 1, select 1 Ruin Collector because it will count as 2, so you get to resend this unit minus 1 drive check. It's a nice little combo. Now, last but not least, we're going to go into the trigger lineup. we run 2 copies of the front, 2 copies of the draw trigger, and I believe 7 copies of the crit trigger, 1 over trigger of the dark state, and 2 crit effect heal trigger and 2 generic heal trigger. And the reason for all this mess is because that way you have variety in your bind zone, so your opponent cannot get any defensive power from it and doesn't pretty much just get screwed over it. So the draw triggers, the front triggers, all the rainbows are there. The crit heal, I say this in all my decks so far, is just so useful because there's too many decks out there that has innate crit. So it's a nice counter against them. Crit life, I mean, you know, crit to win, baby. So no question about that. Generic heal triggers to draw. I mean, effect draw trigger, you get to draw. And if the opponent runs a lot of draws in their deck and you get this into the bind zone, well, that power is kind of gone. Front trigger, yeah, I probably could play some effect front triggers. I really didn't care for it. They're just mainly there just so that I can bind it. So that's pretty much it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, please write in a comment below, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Oh, also, I'll try to do some play tests of this deck shortly, so yeah, hit that like, comment, subscribe, you know, and you might be able to catch up with it. So until next time, peace.